Welcome to the Pop Culture Cosmos, Mannequin Media, the Super BS Gamescast, and Topicocalypse, our coverage of E3 2020 on the Pop Culture Cosmos right here coming at you. Game Source also as well. Thank you so much for listening and watching out there. We truly appreciate it. It's going to be a wonderful weekend. Actually, the next 4 days will be awesome. You are in video game heaven if you're not already, because there already has been some great announcements already. But here today to talk with me about what he has already experienced at E3 2021 is a good man indeed. You got to catch him wherever you can for Topicocalypse, also as well the Super BS Gamescast, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, popculturecosmos.com, and his amazing book, which you can get right now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Congratulations, you suck. It is my good friend indeed. It is Josh 3 2021, but I know him as Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
What is up? So I have been missing that feeling of being on the floor at E3. You know, I've gotten to chat with a few devs.
I don't miss the smell after day 3.
I don't miss the smell, and yeah, it is like exhausting just because there's, you know, you go into the LA Convention Center and there are booths in all the halls. You know, you have to like go from one hall to the next, and it's exhausting. It's a tiring day. And then at the end of it, you know, because I lived so close to Los Angeles, I had to get in my car, sit in traffic, and then drive home.
You and I both have done that together.
Right. Yeah, we did. So, I mean, it's not like, and I remember we recorded a podcast on the way home.
That's how long it took.
That was fun. But yeah, I mean, I don't like, there's aspects of I don't miss, but I do like, you know, having gotten the chance to talk to some of these devs yesterday, and like I miss interviewing game developers. You know, I like it feels like ever since COVID happened, I haven't been doing that a lot, or we haven't been doing that a lot. So I just kind of like, I miss that feeling. I miss kind of just like seeing the more human aspect of video games, as in like seeing the people behind the magic. And it's, you know, this has definitely been a weird year. So I'm hoping that next year we'll be able to get back out on the floor out there. You know, I'd love to go down and, you know, walk through E3 again. But
I do miss the going behind the scenes. That part I loved, going up to the second floor and talking to all the devs behind the scenes, getting the showcase, getting the actual game showcase specifically for us, making us feel like we're special, and we know that we could communicate our hopes for the game, and everybody could go ahead and get an idea off that. And that part I truly appreciated. I don't know if I appreciate the crowds anymore on that, because I've been to a few E3s. You know, after you've been to, you realize, especially like I said, and it's a joke, and it's kind of a joke, but by day 3 at E3, it's kind of hard to be there because the stench from people not showering, or the Axe body spray not actually working. And it's so funny because Axe body spray and the Axe roll-on and whatnot, they actually debuted the first year that they came out. It's like earlier in the last decade. They actually were giving out free samples intentionally because they knew what was coming up on E3 that we were at. And it's funny, by day 3, it just, all the attempts for that, by all that free Axe body spray and Axe roll-on, it failed because the smell just overcame and overpowered anything that Axe could actually fight against. So, yeah, it was, I mean, CES is kind of bad too, day 3 of it, because the fact that people are sweating on walking all around the convention center in suits for 3 days, I think that's its own different stench. It's just as bad, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of different than the stench at E3. So I know that everybody wants to go ahead and talk about all the video games and whatnot, but it's a lot more that goes into it. A lot more talking. You have to fight the crowds. You have to, if you're trying to go ahead and cover and get an impression of games, you have to fight people for times and things of that nature. It's not exactly. It's funny because whenever I go, I gave you the same speech I gave everybody else, like Jamie Monroy and everybody else that I've gone over the years with Game Source of Pop Culture Cosmos, is that, okay, this is your first year. You're going to be overwhelmed. It's like a kid in a candy store. all over the place, just nothing but video games all over the place, and you're just going to enjoy it. And then reality hits you, and then every year it becomes, I don't want to say a chore, but the enthusiasm gets less and less.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first year that I went was 2017, and that was the last year that they didn't let fans in. So
Yeah.
like when we were there, it was all media outlets, and there's still a butt ton of media outlets walking around there. There's still lines to get into certain things, Sony booth, Nintendo booth, whatever, you name it. But it wasn't like unmanageable. You weren't swimming in a sea of people. Then they started letting the public in 2018, and I remember I was there with Chad, and it would take us a while to get to these interviews that we had to do because there's just too many bodies. It wasn't the fact that it was far away; it was just we're having to push and shove through all this like just a sea of people, and it makes it hard for like because originally it was a trade show, right? Like it was meant for
Yeah, it was in an airport hangar at times.
yeah, and it was meant for media publications to go in there and like, oh, hey, you might like this game, write about it. Because even in the press room at E3, the past couple of years they've had, well, not last year obviously, but like they have a press room, right? And there's people in there on their computers and they're doing podcasts live on the spot. Like it has a really cool feel to it.
But it's not just the years that they've let fans in. These are the years I'm talking about when they let media and only. I mean, I've been going off and on since 2001. And yeah, it can be something where it's a great experience and there's so many different participants. And it's still that comes to the point in time where it can be pretty much a fight with other entities out there trying to go ahead and get some type of exclusive. I mean, we've had E3 videos on Game Source get tens of thousands of views, and it's been great for that. And I've been very appreciative of people checking that out. So I do miss that part of it, but the rat race that goes behind it and where you have to go and your next appointment and things of that nature, that's something that, it's there and it's part of the deal at E3.
Yeah, and for all like the moaning and complaining that I do about it, after these events, like I do enjoy them. Like there's a lot of things that I can complain about afterwards or like in the days leading to. But at the end of the day, like I've never actually regretted going to it. It's just there are things that are a hassle. And this year having to do interviews over Discord and all that and having to navigate the press booths through a website, like it just made me realize that even with all the negative things that you experience in the years where you're actually there, like it is a breeze. It's a walk in the park, and it's a lot of fun compared to this. Like I don't know if I would want to cover E3 again in this state.
I would. I'll do it. I've been so used to doing it with other conventions and things like this all over the world where I've been granted access this part of the course, par for the course as far as that's concerned. So, it's something that I've been doing now for years, even before the coronavirus and the pandemic, and I've had to go ahead and do it. But I understand the charm of E3 2021, that everybody's kind of getting back to it, and I'm hoping E3 2022 we can go back there live in some form or fashion. I know you enjoy on the ground coverage like that, and I know there's a sense that I enjoy parts of it too. I enjoy seeing games that I haven't heard about or I haven't discovered yet, and going on the floor and finding them and getting a chance to interact with them. Those are always great responsibilities and things that you can go ahead and convey out there to the public. So I'm looking forward to doing that again live, and then obviously interacting with you, my friend, and Jamie and all the great people that are there and that join us. It's always been a great time for that part of it, and the camaraderie that you share. Nancy, we're opening up. Yes, we are. As people getting vaccinations, hopefully will lead to that. So we'll see if that continues, and good health to everyone out there. It hopefully will lead to more the E3 things like that opening up. But for this period in time, E3 2021 is still a virtual event. Josh and I have been granted access to the event, hopefully as well. Jamie and also Marcus can go ahead and share their thoughts. I would love to hear their thoughts on E3 2021 because they've been granted access, I believe, as well. So looking forward to providing you coverage all weekend long and also Monday and Tuesday. We will be back later today to talk about Ubisoft, and also as well, we're going to be talking about the Gearbox showcase and the Games Beat session. We'll be talking about mostly Gearbox and Ubisoft and what they presented. So we'll do that later this evening, probably around 9 Eastern time. We'll hopefully get a chance to talk then. But you had some conversations this week here already at E3. You've been behind the scenes, had a chance, like you said, on Discord to go ahead and reach out to a few entities. I know I had something set up, and it was so funny because they sent me an email saying they canceled it, and then I got a message on Discord said where you're at, and I'm like, you told me that you canceled. Oh, yes, someone said they did. We are sorry. We are bad. So it's funny because I will hopefully maybe get something later on in regards to that. We'll see. I know it's going to be a very busy couple of days, so I'll let them know if I want to go ahead and talk with them. But I want to hear your thoughts and your time with E3 so far.
So I mean, there's not a. I've been asked not to say a lot until their showcase on Monday. I did get to sit down with the
Josh under embargo.
Yeah, I know, and it's such a shame because these games looked really cool. First one I did was I got to see some footage, and I got a little review key of Sands of Aura, and this is a I guess you'd call it like a top-down RPG, and it's got elements of like bigger RPGs and elements of smaller RPGs, and you can level up your character, and there's skill trees and things like that. But it's a smaller game. It's nothing massive like you'd expect from like a Final Fantasy or an Elder Scrolls. It's something more that would be a good play on like a Nintendo Switch. They wouldn't give me too much detail about the story because they said they kind of want the player to cater it to themselves. But you get to kind of choose your class and you get to choose your weapon. You can craft things. It's kind of a very dark world, but at the same time, like it's fun. It looks fun. So that was Sands of Aura. They're going to be revealing this game on Monday, so I think it's at like 12:30 Pacific time is when Freedom Games goes on. So definitely take a look at that. The other one I got to talk to, I talked to the devs behind this game that actually looks really fun. It's called Cat Cafe Manager. So have you noticed that like in the times of coronavirus, we've seen less like story driven games and more I guess you call them business sims because like the teams for these are a lot smaller. You don't need to really have a lot of people working on them. In this one, you're building your own cat cafe, like you're building a cafe. So for those of you who don't know what a cat cafe is, it's basically there's a lot of these actually like in real life. It's a cafe you go into and they just have random cats walking around. So in this game, you need to you build your cafe. You have to cater to your clientele. You get to by pleasing different types of people, you get different resources, and that helps you like expand your business or attract more cats or serve different types of food to different types of people. It really neat game. I'm excited about it. I have a lot more I want to say about it, but again, like I can't really give too much away at this point. But
Josh under embargo.
I know, but definitely keep your eyes out for that one. I had another one for this game called To the Rescue, which is basically like a pet adoption sim, or you're running a pound, I think, but they canceled on me, so I didn't get to go into that one.
Nancy Weems says, I have some cats that they can adopt. LOL. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the case. You should go down to the development studio and let them know that that's the case. So you can go ahead and be part of the game there, Nancy. All right. Sounds good. But I know there's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about over the next 4 days when it comes to what we're going to be seeing here at E3. So I know Ubisoft, like I said, is today. Also, as well, Gearbox is today. So we're going to be looking at a lot of things: Far Cry, and also possibly Borderlands with Tiny Tina's Wonderland. That game has been announced for next year. which I thought was curious that they didn't save that for themselves, but they put it on Jeff Keighley's thing.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking is they're gonna do kind of like what they did with Borderlands 3, was where they show like, hey, there's a trailer here, and then during their actual thing, they show you what the gameplay looks like.
Well, and the same thing with EA with Battlefield. They showed you that nice cinematic video, but they are saving the gameplay reveal for their own showcase.
Yeah, you know what other game? Well, this game's already been announced, but they kind of showed what the gameplay looks like and gave a little more detail about the story. Is Elden Ring? Yeah. That's a game that is the world is written by George R. R. Martin, like the lore and all that.
Because he won't finish his book, so he'll go ahead and hop on other people's projects.
Right, yeah. But I mean, it looks really cool.
Yeah, as I was saying with Marcus on that one's coming out, by the way, I think late January 21st, if not mistaken, next year.
Yeah,
the hair physics. It's all about the hair physics to me.
That seems to be a thing now.
It's all flowing. Even when he's standing, it's just flowing and flowing and flowing.
Do you remember they kind of like, I think, I might be crazy or I might be misremembering things here, but I feel like that, remember that old Prince of Persia game that came out? I think it was like 2010, the one that was done in all watercolors.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the beginning of that phase with like the flowy hair. And slowly people have been perfecting it more over the years, just having the ability for it to wave. And you see the single strands hanging out off to the side.
People become fixated within the video game industry. I must have more flowing hair.
Oh, absolutely. Have you seen any, besides Borderlands and Elden Ring? Has there been anything that you've seen that's kind of like tickled your fancy at all?
Well, Battlefield 2042, I'm curious whether or not it will have the full building destruction that I love. So I love jumping off a building as it's going and crashing to the ground and parachuting, or being the individual that caused the building to go down with a whole bunch of people, or hopefully enemies, that are in it, that are crashing down. But that part I love about Battlefield, or the ability to go ahead, and I've talked about this with Marcus about, the ability you can run and just fly in a jet anywhere on the map. And I know people were using it to try and crash on me, or try it when I tried to fly it. It was so funny because I had such a hard time with the mechanics on flying it, or things like that when it comes to Battlefield, because there's so much variation that you can do on a Battlefield for it, pardon the pun, and it's going to be strictly a multiplayer game. So I want to hear their reasoning why they're not doing a battle royale or a campaign with this year's version of Battlefield. So that'd be very interesting to see. I mean, Far Cry 6, we've talked about that on the show already. Giancarlo Esposito, one of the hottest actors in the planet, is going to be part of it as the dictator that you're trying to go ahead and overthrow. There's a lot of things I still want to see. I know they talked about I don't know if it's still in a rumor or if it's talked about as an actual project, that there's going to be a multiplayer crossover between the Tom Clancy universe. I don't know if they'll showcase that or how early that is in development. If that's the case, they're not going to show much about it. They're probably just going to show you a JPEG of all the interacted entities. So I'm curious about that. I know Rainbow Six Quarantine has been renamed, and that's going to be something else as far as their version of the zombie universe that you can go ahead and play. So Rainbow Six has actually had a real great success with this latest version of multiplayer. So they're adding that element to the mix. So I'm excited to still see what Ubisoft and Gearbox have coming up. But this weekend, for me, obviously, it's about Halo. I mean, Halo has got to drive the Xbox interest. Xbox at this point in time is still behind the eight ball when it comes to this generation. PlayStation 5 is still getting all the pub. And with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart coming out to great reviews, Returnal has come out to solid reviews. And the games that are coming out, few as they are coming out exclusively to PlayStation 5. Kojima talked about Death Stranding and showcased that as a director's cut coming exclusively to PlayStation 5. So right now it's all about PlayStation 5. Xbox needs, at this point in time, in order to gain a foothold with this next generation, a major showcase And we're not talking about just Bethesda, but we're talking about the entire Microsoft product. And I understand, and I know you were interested in reading about this, and you commented on this on our Instagram about the future of where Xbox is going. Yeah, I understand it's not so much on the hardware they're focusing on, and the idea is the Games Pass, because that's what they really want you to do. Is the future of you and Xbox is the Games Pass part of it, and you playing on any mobile phone or your tablet or your computer or your Xbox. That's, or even your TV, if you got that capability.
Yeah.
That's the future where they want to go with it. But right now, it's still a lot of it is within the Xbox Series X, and they need to go ahead and prove to everyone out there that they can be a viable part of this next generation.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the big thing too. Like, I think it's cool that they want to install an Xbox app on smart TVs and have you be able to play through, wireless internet or Bluetooth, connecting your controller. But I mean, even with all these capabilities, they need to put games out, and that's like bottom line. They need to put games out. Going back to something you said about PlayStation 5. Like, yeah, I mean, they have all the exclusives are out right now for PS5, and I can't remember the last time something came out exclusive to Xbox, at this moment in time. I did get a chance to play Ratchet and Clank. I don't think it's a 9 as all these publications are giving it, but I think it's a pretty good game. It's pretty solid.
You have gotten it. So we talked about that you were probably going to have to get it at some point in time.
Yeah. So I picked that one up, and I got Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So I haven't gotten a chance to play that one. We just got our internet back up and running. But bottom line, you're right, it's as sad as
those darn dogs.
Those darn dogs. But yeah, bottom line, as sad as it is, this is a make or break moment for Microsoft. And I know like every conference they have seems like a make or break moment, but they need to have something come out by year's end. And I don't even think it just hinges on Halo. Like, I think it needs to be something. They need to have 2 or 3 somethings come out by the end of the year that have to be good. It's not, they can't just put out a bunch of indies or a bunch of like half-butt games. They need to have some big titles, and if Halo does not come out this year, like it's over. That's their big flagship franchise, and I think that franchise will officially die if they do not put that game out this year. I don't know what Gears or Forza or Fable, I don't know what's going on with any of those, but they need games this year, at least 3 of them.
Oh, there you go. As coming straight from a Microsoft fanboy himself, Mr. Josh E3 2021, we will be coming at you here over the course of the next 4 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We'll be providing reports. Plus, we will be taping the Pop Culture Cosmos show, episode number 250. We're going to be talking about a lot, but we are going to be talking about things like the box office matchup. How did In the Heights perform? Josh and I have reviews of Biomutant and Chivalry 2. I've had a chance to go ahead and have had it. And my gosh, have I got a lot to say about Chivalry 2. Plus, we're going to be talking about a lot of other things as well, including Father's Day gift ideas. I have an article which I just posted at popculturecosmos.com with the best pop culture gifts you can get Dad this week for Father's Day, because Father's Day is around the corner. So just want to give everybody a heads up on that. So
before we close out, can we talk about, so Netflix was part of E3 this year, their summer Day of the Dead.
No, they're Geek Week. Geek Week. And this is what I talked about on Friday with Marcus about who had the better showcase this year. Was it Geek Week or Jeff Keighley's thing? And we decidedly thought, even though Netflix's Geek Week had a lot of announcements and it was over the course of 5 days, I definitely think that, me and my disdain for Mr. Keighley, because I think he tries to be like me way too much. But anyways, I really focused a lot more and had a lot more people talking about stuff. But Geek Week did have some stuff. I think it's the right idea by Netflix. I just think it came at the absolute wrong time. I think it should have come 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks later when it has its own time frame, so people can talk nothing about it. Nothing else but Netflix. So, But yes, go ahead. I mean, day
Oh,
5 finished off yesterday, and I know they had some announcements there.
yeah. I mean, I just like what I was trying to get at here was that like there was some pretty solid stuff coming out of there. The only thing that kind of irritates me is much like a Sony press conference, no dates were given for anything.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
hey,
just,
we got Stranger Things season 4 is coming out, but we're not going to tell you when. Witcher season 2 is done, but we're not going to tell you when you're going to get to watch this. So it's just, I don't know. There were some cool things, but it was just not. This is what
the He-Man animated series. I know a lot of
and
people were talking about the
yeah.
trailer for that.
Mhm. And I like to look at myself as the average Joe, right? Like I feel that my desires in media are not much different from like the average film goers, right? Like I know like when you watch movies, you look for specific things. I watch movies and yeah, I do look for specific things, but it's mostly is like at the end of the day, did this entertain me? And
Yeah.
for me, for someone like me, like release dates are key. Like if you want to keep me as a fan, I need a release.
So you need a release date, okay, and a release date that you are looking at. But I know that I agree with you. I mean, it would be nice when you're showcasing whether it's The Witcher, Stranger Things, or what have you, that they give you a release date on those major IPs, Umbrella Academy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's nice that you tell us about more about the next Jean-Claude Van Damme film and all the other stuff that you showcase this Geek Week. But again, there's still things that they need to work on. I just think it needs to come out at a different point in time so that it has that whole week by itself. Because you and I both know pop culture, even though there's a lot of news each and every week, not every week is as heavily filled with news.
Right.
I mean, sometimes we are kind of hungry for news. And I'm like, I don't know, Josh, if we have enough to fill up an hour. And I'll tell you that off screen. And then this could have been something that could have been the talk of the entire pop culture universe in its own right. But now it's just getting snowed under by E3.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's unfortunate, you know, like I thought that they were directly aligned with what Keeley was doing, but I guess not. So it just they should have thought about dates for that, you know. They should have thought about like, well, you know, if we have these streams go on at the same exact time as Jeff Keighley's thing, what's gonna happen? You know, and I'm sure like they have WitcherCon. Netflix is doing a
Yes.
WitcherCon
I
coming
was going to
up.
mention that on July, right around time Black Widow opens, I believe, July 9th.
Yeah, and that's another great timing, you know. Like let's make sure everything we do is put in the shadow of something a lot bigger.
Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense sometimes what Netflix is thinking. I know Netflix thinks of itself in a very high fashion, and it should, being over 200 million subscribers. But there's a lot of these established things that have already taken place over the years. And in the case of Black Widow, that has been announced well ahead of time, that they need to go ahead and check themselves and understand when you announce things in a sea of information that's being spread out about other things, that it gets lost. Your message gets lost.
Right, right, and it's unfortunate, you know, because there were some cool things that come out of it. But again, like I don't think I'm the only one who's like this, but like release dates are key. Like if you want, I think people have given up on the whole like, oh, this is going to come out eventually mentality. You know, everything's like timing. Like I need to know when and how, and Netflix did not deliver on that like at all.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a lot to talk about over the course of the next 4 days right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. You can also check us out what we're doing at Game Source. We're going to be providing so much information. It's going to be an information overload from the video game world over the course of the next 4 days. Josh and I, hopefully, as best we can, maybe Jamie, maybe also as well, Marcus de la Garza, will pop in with our thoughts on a nightly recap, and that's going to happen over the course of the next 4 days, so stay tuned for that. Plus, our regular Pop Culture Cosmos 250, we will be going ahead and taping this weekend as well, so a lot in store for you out there. Plus, if you're interested in the live Twitch feed from E3, hopefully they don't mind me doing it. I went ahead and I popped it on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel, and also many of our other Facebook channels as well. So hopefully you'll be able to enjoy that, or just pop in every now and then for 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, if you want to go ahead and check out what's going on, if you see a cool video or whatnot. But we will be posting all the major announcements as well in news form, of course, right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. But Josh, I know you've been working a lot on, like you said, the thoughts on Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, Biomutant, and so much more. Any last thoughts on the way out?
I mean, so Ratchet and Clank, the reviews for this one kind of baffle me, and like I've heard a lot of people, and this is not just me saying as a Microsoft fanboy, but I've heard even people who are like middle of the road for both of them say that this is like like Sony worshiping like at its finest, you know, and it's a solid game. I would give it an 8. I don't think it's a 9. I don't think it's anywhere near a 9. You know, it looks great, but it's a platformer, you know, so how beautiful can it look? You know, it's not exactly showcasing anything that the PlayStation 4 didn't showcase. You know, you got your wacky colors, you got your details, you got the hairs on the wombats, and it's not a 9. You know, like it's fun, but it's just a Ratchet and Clank game. There's nothing different about it compared to what's been done before. So I don't really know why it's doing so well. It might just be because, you know, we're not getting a lot of games, or the standards have changed a little bit in COVID times. But I mean, I went out and bought it. Like I went out and bought it yesterday, like thinking, oh, hey, this is gonna be like it's 9s. Like this must be just the best game ever made. And then it's good. It's okay, but it's not like, I mean, it's better than, I guess, Biomutant, but it's not a 9 to me. That being said, though, I am enjoying. I do like it. It's Final Fantasy VII Intergrade. Looking forward to playing that. Biomutant, I still got to finish. You know, that's another topic I want to hit on another show sometime, is the fact that like you can't Xbox, like there's not a lot that you can play offline on Xbox, and that kind of makes me a little angry.
Well, that was something I told you about that Don Matrick had envisioned 10 years ago with the advent of the Xbox One, and also the announcement that they made at E3. You remember when they said it was going to be always connected, and there was such an uproar back then, and it got to the point where Xbox and Microsoft had to backtrack, and they talked about that, and they said, you know what, okay, maybe after all, we won't have it always connected, you know, because they had to connect and all that. Yeah. And everybody was excited about why that was happening, because they were kind of angry, and people didn't want to be always connected because they thought Microsoft was watching you and all that stuff. And, you know, it's kind of funny because now these days, 10 years later, the Xbox Series that you have is always connected. So yeah. Mm-hmm. They got their wish after all. So it's kind of funny how things laid out, and nobody seems to go ahead and care about it, but except for you. And obviously that's a pain because, like you said, I am a big time single player fan. I like the multiplayer games every now and then a little bit more than you do. In fact, I really am enjoying my time with Chivalry 2, and I will go into that on the Pop Culture Cosmos 250 in my review of it. But I like single player campaigns. I've been enjoying my time on the Xbox One with Microsoft's, what they've got and out there, but also the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I've just said I've spent 14 hours at the Citadel, and I'm just getting out into space. So I've enjoyed my time there. And I don't want to go ahead and be bothered with an online connectivity on that. I just want to go ahead and play the game. So, those single players experiences, you don't need to go ahead and be online. So it's kind of disturbing that you always have to be online. Plus the fact that, electricity, and it sucks up, like you were talking about with bandwidth, like we were having an issue with on the other day for our taping, and you were like, why is it so slow? Oh, that's why, because the PlayStation 5 is sucking up bandwidth. The same thing with the Xbox Series. And yeah, it's a problem, but unfortunately it's, I think, a future that we have to come and realize.
Yeah, and I mean with Ubisoft, like any Ubisoft game, like you can't save your game unless you're online. It's all,
that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's dumb because like you have people who are, say, out in the country, like out here where we are, we have a lot of thunderstorms, and have a hard time believing, since every time I go to pick up a physical game from a store out here that they're all sold out, that I'm the only gamer out here.
Yeah.
That's an issue for.
I'll tell you what, my friend, there's going to be so much to talk about this weekend. I appreciate you giving us a little bit of the insight behind E3. And I don't want to go ahead and bash E3 too much. In fact, if I do go back with you and also hopefully Jamie and Marcus, I would love to go ahead, and that part to me is the best part of it. Going with you and going and hang out with the crew while we experience E3, that to me is always the best part of it. And obviously discovering the games that we didn't hear about or we didn't see about right there on the show floor. Mm-hmm. Those are interesting things always to see. The smells and the crowds, not so much, but that's part of the deal at E3. But hopefully we'll get back to that in the not too distant future at E3 2022 and beyond. But for right now, it's E3 2021. And Josh, I want to thank you for your insight, embargoed as it is, on what took place earlier this week. Looking forward to hearing more thoughts. In fact, Ubisoft is running right now as we speak, as far as it's concerned. So we'll go ahead and give a nightly recap of what we saw at Ubisoft's Forward, also as well Gearbox's E3 showcase. So we'll go ahead and talk about that later on tonight. And then, of course, we'll be here all weekend long and Monday and Tuesday with wrap-ups at E3 right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. And also, thank you so much to Humanica Media and, of course, everybody at Topicocalypse and the Super BS Gamescast.